Hello, everybody. I am Professor e.jean of OPM Training School, and I am so excited that you decided to click on this video today because that means you are preparing to get your GED, which is an amazing thing to do. So excited for you. For this video, I'm going to provide you with a few tips on preparing to take your GED exam. But before I get started, if you have not done so, if you have not set up your GED account, I am going to recommend that you watch my other video that I provided for you on tips on setting up your free GED account. That's going to be really important to get that done first. Okay, so please watch that video and then come back to this video and watch the tips that I'm going to provide with you preparing to some tips on how to take your GED exam. So the first tip I want to share with you is, if you haven't done so, take the GED Ready exams. They do offer them on the GED website. At least I know in Texas, some accounts are different depending on what state you're located, where you are located, which state it is. But in Texas, you can take GED Ready exams. They cost less, much less than the actual exams themselves. And when you take the exams, once you finish, the exam results will let you know if you are GED ready for that subject. Also, the results of the exams will provide you with tips that you can use to help increase your score. So whether you received 145 points, 135 points, it's going to let you provide you with tips and areas that you can do to sharpen up your skills and your tools within that subject itself so that you can improve your score when you take your GED exams themselves. Now, there are a total of 4 exams that you have to take in order to get your GED. The exams are social studies, science, math, and language arts. Social studies is the exam that provides the least amount of time. You have an average of 20 to 35 to 40 questions. And I'll go do other videos to talk more specifically about each exams themselves. So this one is just basically an overall review of the exams themselves and some tips on how to prepare for that. So I'm not focusing on subjects. I'm just going to focus on the overall exams themselves. So social studies, you have the least amount of time that's available because it's the shortest exam. So the second one is going to be science. And then the third longest is math. And the one that's a big one, that's almost 3 hours or so, it's going to be language arts. And that's because you have to do a written or typed essay. Okay, so there are 4 exams. And the first tip that I'm giving to you to prepare is after you set up your GED account, take the GED Ready exams. That's my recommendation. So a lot of people say, I'm not ready. You don't even know how ready you are or are not. So taking the GED Ready exams will let you know how ready you are and the areas that you would need to improve to get your scores where your scores need to be in order to pass the GED exams for each subject. Maybe you did pass. Maybe you made the minimum score of 145 points, which is the minimum score. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But still, you might need to improve in some areas just to make sure that you hit that mark when you take the official exam. So my first recommendation is to take the GED Ready exams. Now, the minimum score for each exam is 145 points. That's the minimum. The maximum that you could earn is 200 points. The minimum that you need to earn is 145 points. When you go to take your exams, you already are given 100 points. That's right. So you start off with the 100 points. And if you get nothing right, no question, you get anything correct, you start with you end with what you began with, which is 100 points. I don't know of anyone that started off with 100 and ended up with 100. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened with any of the students that I have had since 2008. But you start off with 100 points, and each time that you get an answer correct, you earn points. If you get a question wrong, you don't lose any of your 100 points. So it's the opposite of academic school. As a teacher, when I give exams, students start off with 100 points and they lose points each time they get a question incorrect. Even when I take exams, it's like that. But you don't have that with the GED exams, which is great, right? So each time you get something incorrect, a question is wrong, you don't lose any points. You just stay at that level where you are, and each time that you get a question correct, your points increase, which is a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So that's great to know, right? So I share that is because of some of the tips that I'm going to continue throughout this video on how to approach to prepare to take your GED. So the first thing is take your GED ready exams. That's my first tip. Once you've done that and you get your scores, then you can start studying, and we'll talk about the studying habits and all those types of things. But that's the first thing I want to share. Now, you're ready to take your test. You have your score, you've been preparing. What do you do for that? So inside the GED website, at least in Texas, once you register, it's going to ask you for your address. And the reason why it does that is because it's going to provide you, the website is going to provide you with sites that offer GED exams testing centers in your zip code area. So it'll give you a list of testing centers in your zip code area. You decide which one works best for you. When you decide and make your choice, you definitely want to go to that location information, which is on the GED website. They'll have the address. Typically, that location would tell you their do's and don'ts, what you can bring, what you cannot bring, as well as you'll see what time slots are available for you to take your GED exams. They will also have a phone number. So I've shared with all of my students when they prepare to take their GED to make sure you make a phone call, contact them, and just get clarity on what you can do, what you can bring, what you can wear. Some places allow you to wear jackets, others places do not. Some places let you wear sweaters, other places do not. So you definitely want to know, you don't want to show up and be, uh, turned back or turned around because you can't bring certain things in. You do have to have an official Texas ID to verify that you're this person that's taking the exam. If you're driving, they typically have lockers where you can lock up your keys. You cannot bring purses, wallets, or anything like that typically to a testing center. Scratch paper and all of that will be provided for you at that location. Again, that's why you make a phone call, ask all the questions so that you can be fully aware of the expectations, when your expectations and their expectations of you when you enter into their facility. Calculators, I do have, in Texas, this is the official calculator that you can use when taking your test. At most facilities, some facilities provide the calculators, others require you to use the calculator that's on the computer. So again, make a phone call. In Texas, it's the TI-30XS multi-view. So I know it's backwards, but that's the one, and it's on our website at opmtrainingschool.education. So you can go to our website and see the information. You can purchase it on Amazon. So, but again, it depends on where you are. If you're watching this video and you're in a different state, definitely go to the website, GED website. They'll let you know what calculator you can use. Contact the facility. Okay, I'm going to re-emphasize that. Contact the facility. So that's one of my tips for that. Once you contacted the facility, once you set up your date, you want to make sure that you set your testing time, if possible, between 9 and 11. Studies have shown that typically students and scholars perform their best when it's in the morning instead of the late afternoon or the evening. It's fresh, the information is there, you've had less distractions, right? You're getting up, hopefully in your space and in your world, things are not conflicting. And so you're able to go in and have a fresh mind for that. So that's going to be really important, which means the night before you want to get you some rest so you can have a good, 8 hours of sleep, and you're up early, you're getting yourself into the right mood. If you're a person that, I would say, eat breakfast if you can, that's going to be important. You don't want to be hungry or anything like that. Or if you plan to eat prior to taking your test, you definitely want to try to do that at least 2 hours prior to testing, so you can let that roll through your system and you don't have no issues or anything like that. So definitely want to get plenty of rest. I've also shared with my students, you want to do some cliff notes. That means some quick notes, studying the night before, just to go over your information, and then give yourself at least a good window of an hour to review your information so that it's fresh when you go to bed, it's fresh in your mind when you wake up. So when you go take your test, and you don't want to do an overload, but you definitely want it to be right there, centered in your focus, so that when you go take your test, it's there and available for you. You want to arrive early. You don't want to arrive rushing late. So if you can get there an hour early, take your time, sit and kind of study a little bit. Definitely want to do that. That is just a bonus for you. You don't want to put yourself at a disadvantage by rushing, feeling flustered or anything like that. This is too important for you to do that. So, just do what you have to do to give yourself enough time to prepare to take the test. All right. So I have that. My prep before, you take your test, all those types of things. Now I want to talk about a little bit about some tips on the exams themselves. So there are 4 exams that you have to take. There's social studies, science, math, and language arts. You do not, at least in Texas, you do not have to take all 4 exams at the same time on the same day. I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you do one at a time so that you can perform your very best. So, whichever subject you feel works the best for you, and typically, if you take the GED Red exams, you can see where your strengths and your weaknesses are. So, to me, I would recommend you go and whatever test you score the highest, laser focus on that subject, get your skills up to the minimum score or more. Okay, take that test, get that under your belt. Then go to the one that you can perform the second best and keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Keep doing it, not neglecting the other subjects. You definitely want to study and focus on those as well, study for those as well, and prepare for those. But I would say get that one test under your belt. It's a huge boost for your confidence, right? So I would do that. So if it's math, you think you're good at math, boom. But again, take all 4 prep exams if you can do that so that you can know what your strengths are. Because sometimes we think we're stronger in one subject and then we take a prep exam and realize, well, the subject we thought we were good at, we're better at a different subject. Okay, so do that first. And whatever subject you perform your best with the prep exams, that's the one you want to laser focus on and get it done and get it done. All right. So take one exam at a time. Try to take it between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. if possible. There's some locations that offer exams where you can take it over the weekend if you work during the week, if that's possible, if your schedule allows. But if it doesn't, then choose a day that you have the less distractions, right? And you can go take that exam. But if possible, please make sure you try to take it in the morning. That's better. All right. So now the minimum score is 145 points. The maximum is 200 points. You start off with 100 points. That's a wonderful thing. That means no matter what you get right or wrong, at least you have 100 points. So if you answer every question incorrectly, you still have 100 points. You didn't pass, but you start off with 100 and you end up with 100. So every exam, every question that you answer correctly, you earn points. Every question is not worth 1 point. Some may be worth 2, 2.5, just depends on the question itself. But the good news is if you answer and you get it correct, you earn points. And if you don't get it correct, you don't lose any points. So what I share with my students is another tip that I want you to know that's important is that you need to monitor your time. Okay. You need to manage your time wisely. So for instance, social studies, you have less time for your social studies exams. And if you go to the GED website, the website will tell you how much time is allotted for each test. So when you go there, look at social studies. And if that's the test, that's what you want to prep for. That's what you want to, again, manage yourself as it relates to that. So for instance, if you're taking the science exam and you have 90 minutes, my recommendation is to use no more than 80% of that time, to answer all of the questions, move through the questions. Do not skip a question and not answer it. Again, remember, you don't lose points for getting a question, answering the question incorrectly. Okay, so let's just say you don't know the answer to the question. Educated guess. Answer the question with educated guess. You can flag that question. You can also, because they're going to give you scratch paper or like a whiteboard, you can write that question down on a whiteboard. I always keep a pen on me. You can do that and then go back to it because you've given yourself a window to do so. But just to say you're running short on time. Time moves real quick because once you get to that short window of time, it just seems like time just moves, right? It just flows really, really fast. So the good news is if you answer all questions and your time runs quick, at least you plugged in an answer so you don't have any unanswered questions. And that's going to be really, really important. Okay. So make sure that you answer all of the questions. And if you felt like one of the questions that you answered or two or three, you weren't for sure, you just did an educated guess, write a note on your notepad that they give to you, whiteboard, or you can flag it on the test and then go back to it once you have enough time. So again, take about 80%, 85% of the time to answer all of the questions, and then use the other 15 to 20% of that time to go back if you have to review some of the questions and re-answer those questions that you feel like you didn't give your best, your best effort to that. You can go back to it, okay? So that's really, really important to do that. And then you can review, again, give yourself enough time to review that. All right, so those are my tips for that. One exam at a time, manage your time wisely, answer all of the questions, and flag any questions that you feel like that you need to go back to and probably revisit, give yourself enough time to do that. Okay, so pace yourself really, really good. All right, so hopefully these tips are helpful for you as you prepare to take your GED exam. You know what? And I'm going to do some more videos on each subject just to give you some idea and some tips on each subject. Again, some of the tips also are available for you on the official GED website. So once you set up your account, please make sure that you visit that website. They always provide some great, amazing tips and information. They're the ones that are providing the test itself. So you definitely want to go to the test providers and know what tips are out there and available for you when taking your GED exams. All right, we have more videos that are going to share with you on preparing for math, preparing for social studies, science, and language arts. For more information about our organization and what we offer to help you to prepare for your GED, you can visit our website. Our website is www.opmtrainingschool.education. That's opmtrainingschool.education.